right. Lesson 13.2, power rule for derivatives. So this is the first time I'm actually taping at night. My house is actually quiet. Hopefully Rosie won't make too much noise. This is going to be a quick one, hopefully, but very, very valuable. So I definitely want you to pay attention to this one. You should be taking notes alongside this. You shouldn't just be watching me. Just to watch. This is really important. What we're going to do is first warm up by using the definition of a derivative, which we did in the week prior, which is that annoying definition. So I'm going to write what it is here. It's the limit as x approaches 0. Uh-oh, Rosie, already. F of x plus h minus f of x all over h. So we're going to do that for the warm-up, so please apologize on behalf of my dog, Rosie. All right, it's a little hot out, so we're trying to get some air, so she hears everything that walks by, so she goes crazy. Not that she would attack anything. She'd actually just give you a lot of kisses. All right, anyway, using the definition of the derivative. All right, warm-up. We're going to go back to last week. We have letter A, 4x squared plus x. We are going to substitute it in, all right, the limit as h approaches 0. And we have, going to replace the x's here with x plus h. So 4 parentheses x plus h squared plus x plus h, right? So we subbed in here and here, minus parentheses the original guy, 4x squared plus x, and that's all over h. So cleaning it up, I have to double distribute that, FOIL it out, whatever you call it. So 4 parentheses, you have x squared plus 2 hx or xh plus h squared. And then plus x plus h in parentheses. Oh, this is so annoying. Minus 4x squared minus x. Okay. And that's, again, all over h. All right, simplifying again. 4x squared plus 8xh plus 4h squared plus x plus h minus 4x squared minus x, Lordy, over h. All right, so we're going to clean up a little bit. All right, let's see what goes. 4x squared minus 4x squared, x minus x. What does it look like I have? It looks like 8xh plus 4h squared plus h. Yep, all over h. And what you're going to do, remember, is you're going to factor out so that the h's cancel on the bottom. So we're going to take out an h, right? And that's going to leave me with 8x plus 4h plus 1 all over h. These h's are going to cancel. And remember, we're looking as h approaches 0. So this guy here is going to cancel out. We're not cancel out, it's just going to go to 0. So then you're left with, and I'm going to put it in red, 8x plus 1. Oh, I haven't made an 8 like that in a while. So that, loves, is your derivative. So a lot of work, quite annoying. This next one, though, is way easier. So let's try this next one. Maybe I should have reversed my order. All right. So we're going to do, again, the limit as h approaches 0. All right, we're going to replace every x with x plus h. So 2 parentheses x plus h minus 1, and then minus the original. Make sure you remember your parentheses. 2x minus 1 all over h. All right, so I have 2x plus 2h minus 1 minus 2x plus 1 all over h. So let's see. 2x, negative 2x is gone. 1, negative 1. All right, so I'm left with a 2h over h, which my h's will cancel, and my derivative by using the definition is 2. All right, so I know you guys understand that because we practiced last week. However, there's a way easier way to do the definition of the derivative using a couple of rules. And we're going to learn these rules up until we stop remote learning. So we have a power rule, we have a product rule, we have a quotient rule, and then we're going to have a chain rule. So 4 rules, and depending on how the expression or equation is expressed to you, that would determine which one of the rules you'll use. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the power rule to find the derivative. Now, to find the derivative, a couple of different notations before I forget. If they give you an expression with f of x, you might see them ask for the derivative as f with this 1 up here. That means f prime. Okay, that's how you say it, f prime. Okay. Also, sometimes instead of f of x, remember you'd sometimes get y equals. Well, then you would have y prime. Okay, and that would indicate to find the derivative. Okay. The next one you might see, you're actually going to see it a lot, looks like this. And they say a lot, dy over dx, and that's the derivative of y with respect to x. That's what it means. All of these terminologies, right? 1, 2, 3 mean to find the derivative, all right? Different ways you'll say it. So now the power rule. It's a little crazy, but here it goes. I'm going to give it to you, and then we're going to kick it into full gear, and then we're going to look actually at A and B from our warm-up. All right, so what you do is you drop the exponent of the variable in the front. You might have to multiply if there's a coefficient, but that's okay. And then you're going to decrease the power by 1. So if I was to ignore, right? Maybe I can cover it up with my calculator. If I was to ignore this whole big definition of the derivative, right? And I was to kick in that rule I just told you, which is to drop the power in front. The power is 2. There's a 4 there, so you're going to multiply. If there was nothing there, it's technically a 1. So we drop it in front. 2 times 4 is 8, right? We have an x, but now we're going to decrease the power. So the power is going to go from a 2 to a 1. And then look here. We have plus. Now this is x to the first. So this 1 drops in front. It's 1 times 1x, or just 1. But now that x, right, we're going to decrease by a power. So 1 minus 0 is 0. Now you guys know from the rules that this is going to give you, right, 8x to the first, if I clean it up a little bit. And x to the 0 is 1, so 1 times 1 is plus 1. So let's see. Dun, 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 dun. We have a match. So rather than go through this whole big definition, you can kick in a rule. Keep in mind, you do need to know the definition of the derivative for your AP Calc exam. So don't say, oh, I'll never use this again. You actually will. Okay? So looking at B, right? This is 2x to the first, right? So that 1 would drop in front times 2 would give you 2. This x is now x to the 0, right? Now, there's no variable here. So when you are taking the derivative, when there's a constant, it just goes to 0. So what happens is now, this is 2 times 1, right? Because x to the 0 is 1. Telling me my derivative is 2 by my rule. By using the definition, I also got 2. So it does work. However, the rules, I'm sorry, you guys didn't really see that. The rules are a lot easier to use. All right, so we got our little box of rules. We have some examples here. So we're going to do example 1 first. We're going to find the derivative using the power rule. All right, so remember, in letter A, right, we have y equals 5x to the first. So my derivative, my first derivative, y prime, equals, I drop the 1 in front, I multiply by the 5. Now remember, the x becomes x to the 0. So really, y prime is equal to 5. So anytime you have just x to the first power, you know when you take the derivative, it's going to disappear. Okay, so not bad. All right, next one, letter B. I'm going to slide it over a little bit. All right, so we're looking for y prime. We're looking for the derivative. All right, this 2 gets dropped in front. We multiply by the 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. We have the x. We go 1 less power, so that 2 is going to drop to 1. Plus, remember, when you have 2x, you're just going to wind up with that coefficient, right? Because if this is a 1, 1 times 2 is 2, and you get x to the 0. So y prime equals 6x plus 2. That's your derivative. Okay, so honestly, where things get annoying, certain things like, maybe we'll fill this in the box. You got to remember that the square root of x is x to the 1/2 power, right? And if you have something with a negative, not a negative exponent, let's just say you have an exponent on the bottom with a fraction. So 1 over, say, x to the 3rd. You're going to have to change that into x to the -3rd. Okay, so those are things to keep in the back of your minds that could give you a little bit of trouble. But honestly, this is the easiest rule. So we're going to turn to, or we're going to flip to the next page. Just going to double check you guys are in my view here. All right, so like I said before, right? Maybe I can, let me try something. All right, I'm making this a little bigger. However, I just realized, sorry guys. All right, here we go. We have to find the derivative using the power rule. Like I said before, you need to change. Anytime you see radical, anytime you see something on the bottom, you got to bring it back up. So the first thing you're going to do here, okay, is you're going to get rid of the rad power. Get rid of the radical. Change it into a power. So make this into y equals 4x to the 1/2 power, right? So then you can use your rule, okay? Now y prime, the derivative, you're going to drop that power in front. It's going to multiply. So 1/2 times 4 is going to give you a 2. You have an x. Now, what's a little tricky is figuring out what your power is. Now, remember, I'm just going to go up here. It's your power, which is 1/2, but you're decreasing by 1. So a 1/2 minus 1 is actually -1/2. So your power here is going to be a -1/2. Now, what they could do if it was a multiple choice is they could totally mess with you and drop that x to the 1/2 power that's negative here, drop it in the bottom, make it positive, but then they would probably do this. Y to the first equals 2 over and change it back to a radical. Huh. Interesting. So this is correct, this is correct, this is correct. You're probably more than likely going to see it like this. Okay, like the first one. All right, so let's try another one. This one here, I've one-upped my game, right? I have y equals 2 over the square root of x. All right, so I'm going to pop this up. I'm going to make it y equals 2x. Now, when it comes up, it becomes negative. Remember, it's x to the 1/2 on the bottom because of the radical. But when it comes up, it becomes -1/2. So when we calculate the derivative, right, we drop that -1/2 in front and multiply by 2. So half of 2 is 1, but remember, it's negative. So -1x. And then you're going to take that -1/2 power. And you're going to subtract 1. So this is -1/2 minus 2/2 is -3/2. If you're not good at those fractions, well, I guess by all means, reach out for your calculator. What could they do there to jazz it up a little bit? Y prime equals -1 on top. X to the 3/2. Oh my God, I'm really testing your skills from last year. -1 over, remember, fractional powers, the square root of x to the 3rd power. You can see it like that as well. Woof. But more than likely, you're going to see it in this form right here. Okay? All right, so let's try some other ones. These actually aren't too bad. Example 3A and B. All right, so what do we got here? Actually, example 3A is pretty straightforward. All right, you want to drop that power in front. It's okay. It's a -3. You do multiply by 2, so you're going to get a -6. X, now remember, the power is where you could potentially make a mistake. It's a -3. Oops. Why is it out of focus? How annoying. All right, -3, but remember, you're going down by 1. So you're subtracting 1, so it becomes a -4. So your power is going to be a -4. Just be careful. Again, there's nothing wrong with jotting it down on the side. People tend to make mistakes with signs in their head. Doesn't mean that you're weak. I like to write things down because I hate to make stupid mistakes. All right, next one. All right, I see a little bit of an issue because we have x to the 7th in the bottom. So I would rewrite it. I would pop that x back up top, but make it a -7. So again, to get the derivative y prime, I'm going to drop that in front and multiply. So -21x to the, all right, remember, we'll write it over here. You had -7 as your power. You subtract 1 and you get -8. So y prime equals -21x to the -8th. So it's kind of like a puzzle. I like it. It's not bad. I am going to do these last few ones with you. And then there is actually a separate PDF worksheet for you to practice. And the answers are on like the second page of the PDF. It's a two-pager. So you have your questions, you have the actual answer key. So if you have any problems that aren't working out for you algebra-wise, then let me know and I'll go through it with you. All right, so you try number 1. All right, here we go. All right, so it looks like it's going to be harder than it is. Y equals 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5x plus 7. So again, just piece by piece. All right, so y prime. Drop the 3 in front, multiply by 2. You get a 6. X to the down 1 power, so x squared. So 6x squared. All right, 2 drops in front times a -3 is -6 again, right? Your power goes down by 1, so it's -6x to the first. All right, we have a negative. Let's see. This x to the first. Remember, when you have just an x, so a -5x just drops into a 5, and any constant goes away completely. So cleaning it up a little bit, Rosie, zip it. Y prime equals 6x squared minus 6x minus 5. And you're done there. Shh, Rosie. I guess she's just protecting me. It's nice and quiet at my house. Everyone's out. But there are crazy times today. So, hope you're all being safe here. Ooh, I'm going to go back to B. B is ugly. Actually, B's not bad. Let's do B. Sorry. All right, so you're working with fractions. I'm going to let... Oh, Rosie, you can't come through here. Shh. I'm going to get Rosie a cookie. I'll be right back. Then she'll quiet down. So work on that problem, people. I'll be right there. Keep go, Ro-Ro. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, I'm back. All right, so letter B, I was easily intimidated by that because I saw some fractions. But actually, this one is a lot better than C and D. So again, you drop that power in front. Now, you have to be pretty good at fractions, but it's easy, right? 2/3 times 3, the 3's cancel. You're going to have a 2x. Drops down a power, so it goes to 2. All right, let's see here. We have plus 6 times 4/3. All right, 3 is going to go into 6 twice. You should get an 8x to the 5th. All right, this 5 drops in front. The 5's cancel. So I get a -2x to the 4th. Again, if you need to do those fractions in your calculator or on the side, those weren't too bad because they were nice and even. They worked out. All right, like I said, you do have a calculator, but at this point, you know, you are in pre-calc. You should be able to do fractions by now. Okay, ready? Letter C. All right, what's ugly with letter C? Let's check it out. All right, actually, it's not too bad. It's just annoying. So, all I'm going to take that 2/3. I'm going to drop it in front. So y prime equals 2/3 x. Now, what's annoying? The fraction. So 2/3 minus 1. 2/3 minus 3/3. That's a negative 1/3. So you have negative 1/3 as your power. And remember, when you just have an x here, it just becomes plus 3, whatever the coefficient is. All right, loves, down to the last problem. And boy, it's a grand finale. So here we go. First thing I would do, definitely get rid of those radicals, right? Radical powers and pop them up top, change the sign. All right, so I'm just going to manipulate first. Y equals, we're going to actually pop up this cube root of x. It becomes x to the negative 1/3 power. Take away, this is the 5th root of x, or x to the 1/5, but we're bringing it up top, so it becomes a negative 1/5 power. Okay, here we go. Ready? A little annoying. Y prime equals, I drop it in front, negative 1/3 x. I'm just going to go up here to do my fraction. Negative 1/3 minus 1, which is actually 3/3, gives me negative 4/3. So that's going to be my power here. Take away. Ooh, take away, but it's a negative. That becomes a positive 1/5 x, right? Because a negative 1/5 times a negative 1 is a positive 1/5. All right, I'm going to do my fraction here. So I have negative 1/5 minus 1, but I'm going to write it as 5/5. So that's going to give me negative 6/5. So my power here is negative 6/5. So your answer, the derivative, y prime equals negative 1/3 x to the negative 4/3 plus 1/5 x to the negative 6/5 power. So I'm going to end right now. Rosie's being annoying. I hope you are all staying safe and being good. Make sure you do these problems. Again, this is the biggest foundation for, oh boy, here she comes rattling through. Biggest foundation for AP Calc, especially BC. Miss Erickson's going to expect you, sorry about that, to know these codes. Like, she's going to go in running. So if you don't know how to do the derivative, you are going to start behind. So please, please, please do not let me down. Do the right thing and go in like rock stars and make me proud. All right, take care, guys. Bye.